Hello and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. One of my favorite YouTube channels is LGR, and Clint over at LGR created an awesome video recently on e-thrifting. So I thought I'd give it a shot. I was very interested in picking up a Coleco Atom computer, and I found one on Goodwill's website and placed my bid, and I'll be darned if I didn't win it. I also picked up this Atari Max multicart. So here I was with a ColecoVision, an Atom computer. I also had a TRS80 Model 2 that I picked up on eBay, a TI-99 4A, and an Atari 2600. And I wanted to connect all of these machines up to a modern HDMI connection to a TV or monitor. And the best person to ask is, of course, my friend Gregory over at Arcade Shopper. He was kind enough to double check me on everything I'm about to say, so let's get started. I have just a very small sampling of various systems and game consoles to test, so your mileage may vary with other systems. In this video, we're not going to be making any changes to the original systems. Instead, I'm going to show you how to connect them up to a modern TV. While most of what I'm going to show you is going to be focused on the Atari 2600, it also works on the TI, the TRS80 Color Model 2, as well as the ColecoVision, and all of these share one common thing. Back in the day, this is how you would connect them, through a switch box. When these machines were originally released, TVs looked quite a bit different than they do today. They had a VHF or antenna input, and you would take this switch box and plug it into the screw terminals on the back of the TV. From there, you would take the cable from the game console or computer and plug it directly into the switch box. Then you would have to set the station on the TV to channels 2, 3, or 4, depending on the machine. Later model TV sets eventually had a cable or coaxial input. You may still own a TV or VCR with this type of connection. If so, I'll show you an easy way that you can connect up your retro computer very inexpensively. And of course, today's modern TVs, we're more familiar with HDMI inputs, and we're also going to cover how to take those retro computers and hook them up to a modern TV. Looking at the back of the Atari 2600, here you have the switch for your channel selection, and then you have your joystick port, your player 2 difficulty selection, your power input, and over on the switch to the right here, you also have the difficulty selection for the player 1, and then of course, the joystick port for player 1. This is the RCA cable that comes out of the Atari 2600. And in order to convert that to a cable input, we're going to use this RCA to Type F adapter. So you simply just plug it in and then screw this in into the back of your TV set. So for example, I'm just going to screw it right in. It's a little easier to do without the cable connected to it. So just go ahead and screw it into the TV, and then plug in the RCA cable into the back of the F connector, then plug in the power and hook up your joysticks, and of course, pop in a cartridge and turn it on. From there, you'll be off to the races. Of all these computers, the TI-99 4A is one that's slightly different. This 5-pin male DIN connector to RCA or AV connection can be plugged directly into an RCA AV to HDMI upscaler. This upscaler can support 720p or 1080p, and you connect in the HDMI connection to the output to your monitor. And this is what it looks like. For a more accurate representation, you may want to go into the settings of your TV or monitor and change the aspect ratio to 4:3 instead of 16:9. That'll give you a more authentic look to your TI-99 4A. Now we'll go ahead and power up the AV to HDMI upscaler playing Pac-Man. This game was released by Atari back in November of 1983. Now we'll switch over to the video capture card, and as you'll notice, the audio is coming out of only one speaker. I routed the AV output directly to my capture card in this case to show you clearly what the image looks like. And in my opinion, it looks very nice. Your next question may be, well, what about all the other systems that you mentioned? Such as the TRS80, Coleco Model 2, and the ColecoVision and Atari 2600. Well, those systems need a Type F Coax cable output that then feeds into an AV connection, such as this one. In order to do that, you have to have one of two different things. Your first option, and perhaps the least expensive, is to use a VCR. This may be one that you actually still own, or if you don't have one, you can find them at garage sales, thrift stores, eBay, lots of different options. So screw in your Type F connector and then plug in your composite output from your computer or console. Locate the TV output or AV output and plug in the yellow, red, and white wires. From there, you can take the AV to HDMI upscaler and go ahead and plug in the RCA cables from the VCR into the AV inputs. This particular adapter was fairly inexpensive, under $15, so I'm just going to plug in the video line, which is the yellow line, and the two speakers. It is USB powered, so you will need to plug it into a USB port that's available nearby. Also, the HDMI connection to your TV just plugs directly into the output. And make sure you turn on your VCR and set the station to channel 2 or 3, depending on whatever type of device you're connecting it to. Perhaps even channel 4. And here, we can go ahead and play the Atari 2600 going through the VCR. And again, you'll want to set the aspect ratio to 4:3. 16:9 was unheard of back in the day, so you definitely want it at 4:3. And this is what it looks like. And now we can play our game. Very cool. And once again, I'll go ahead and take the AV video and connect it directly up to my HDMI Cloner Pro so you can see what the actual video looks like going through my video capture card. Looks pretty good. You may have picked up on the hint that yes, there is a different option. The other option is a Coax AV demodulator, which is what we have here. Essentially what we're going to do is take the same F connector and plug it into this device. Here's the power adapter, and this is what the specifications are. There's the part number and all the information regarding the voltage and the amperage, just in case you wanted to see that. It does include a remote control, which is pretty handy for changing the station. And here's the unit itself. It's fairly basic. Just has the audio up and down, the channel up and down, and on the back side you have your power input, and then you have your video out, your audio out for your left and right, and then you have a breakout here and your RF in. So essentially what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plug in the power. We'll install the batteries to the remote control. Then we'll go ahead and check and make sure it works by changing the channel. Great. Now it's time to hook something up to it. My reason for purchasing this is because my desk space is rather limited. And as you can see here, I could fit probably about 5 or 6 of these things inside the same amount of space that this VCR takes up. Alright, so now let's take a look at the device. I've changed the station to channel 2, and we're going to take the RF in from the Atari 2600 in here, and the AV output over here. So to do that, we'll take our F connector and go ahead and plug it into the input right here. And go ahead and plug it in. Alright. From there, we'll take our outputs and plug it into the video and the speakers. And we'll go ahead and plug in the power into the Atari 2600. And this is the connections to my video capture device, the HDMI Cloner Pro. Let me know in the comments below if you want a review of this. At this point, I've been using it for about 10 months, and it's been working out very well. And again, we'll go ahead and start up the game. And yeah, it looks pretty darn good. Using the same connections, let's go ahead and try out the ColecoVision. And this is one I purchased recently. This is using the Type F to the RF demodulator to my Cloner Pro. And we'll play Mario Brothers. This is a fun game that was included with the cartridge that you saw installed. It plays very much like the arcade game. Just a few minor differences, but I was very impressed. The image quality looks very good, and of course the gameplay is awesome. Very impressed. And now we'll switch over to the TRS80 Coleco Model 2, and we're going to play Coax Attacks. The video quality on this particular machine didn't look as sharp as the ColecoVision or the Atari 2600. The text quality output was not extremely sharp, in my opinion, but I didn't own this machine back in the day, so I really have nothing to compare it to. But it's something worth mentioning. I'll go ahead and throw a screenshot up here so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But the game's played rather well. The RF demodulator was small enough that I could actually set it up right below my HDMI Cloner Pro. So this is fantastic. It's off my desk, out of the way, and make it much easier to create retro computing videos. I hope you found this video helpful and that you were able to easily set up your retro computer or gaming console on your modern HDMI TV or monitor. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more from Wagner's Tech Talk, please click the subscribe. And with that, I shall talk to you very soon.